Oh, loves. So we feel to be in a transition energy. A big part of what I'm picking up on is where new things are opening between the masculine and feminine. And of course, we're feeling this within our own internal energies. There's definitely this sense of like one foot in two worlds, but it also feels that this is just part of this next steps on the process. So I'm going to go into some messages today and pull some cards for what is opening up between the masculine and feminine. For those of you who have been following the last few days or weeks, we've been talking about uncensoring ourselves. And in this process, it's revealing that there's more that's wanting to be opened and seen and uncensored also between the divine counterparts, the divine masculine and divine feminine. So that's what we're going to go a bit deeper into today. I did record and post the third session in the Uncensored series, and it was over an hour. And I would say for a good large portion of it, there was a tremendous amount of energy and information thawing out to be restored. And it always blows my mind when we go into topics like the uncensored information. Obviously, we've worked on ancestral patterns, we've worked with the shadows, we've worked with our emotions, but there was so much that had been censored and suppressed through our own information and the ancestral lines that quite a bit was thawing. So, for any of you who did that session, I would love to hear from you. If you feel it's appropriate to share in the comments, let us know. But I can tell when I go into the fourth session, we're definitely going to pick up where we left off. And it's coinciding with today's messages because, like I spoke about, there is a portion of the collective that is absolutely ready to dive into what's next and new information connected to the counterparts. So, we're going to see again what is wanting to open up and just like, yeah, let's see where this is headed. Okay. It's like all of a sudden, as soon as I'm opening, there's like fast moving energy coming through. Two of those fell, but I was already guided to the light seers. It's this is really interesting because the energy feels like I'm really getting this complete silence to a lot of communication. So this may be for some of you who have been in physical world silence with your counterpart, or maybe you're even sensing a potential for things opening up. And it does feel like once it does open up, it's going to be almost the complete opposite of what it has been. Okay, I shuffled those. I guess they wanted me to share that message. But we have the perfect storm, courage to step into life. And then underneath it, which I didn't even see, is overwhelm and plenty. This is the exact energy that I was feeling, which is like once it opens, a whole bunch is going to pour out emotionally. What is really interesting is I know we're all, processing different things at different times in different ways, but then we also do have like the collective patterns where we can feel these things collectively. And what my sense is that for those of you that feel tempered and at peace with yourself and with your divine counterpart connection, this may come to us as a surprise to you when it opens, because the sense that I feel is many of you are really in a tempered place or getting there and not really having any expectation other than you're just aligning with your priorities and your own standards. And that's actually the garden that is ripe for this energy to come to pass. This feels like that tempered energy that you're holding is in your stability within that is actually what is allowing this to open up. And it does absolutely feel like it's going to be from like almost like a 0 to 100, but not in a way that is overwhelming. And it says overflow, overwhelm, and plenty. And it will feel potentially overwhelming, but not in a, oh my gosh, go away, stop way. Almost like a shock, overwhelm, like I didn't see this coming. I've just been in my own lane. And now all of this is opening up. The things I was praying for and asking for long ago are opening up and starting to come to fruition. And so the overwhelm is more of like, I finally like let it go. I was good with whatever happened and here it comes. Okay. So, wow. All right. Let's see, because this is very connected, obviously, to the heart space. It feels very connected to communication, energetic, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, like all forms of expression. And this is why this uncensored energy is becoming so prominent and so important, because sometimes we have parts of ourselves censored that might actually be part of what is protecting us, but then also protecting us from what we've been asking for. So, as the feminines, what's really coming through in the energies is as the feminines are strong and stable enough to open back up, that is what is allowing the magnetism to reopen in a very physical, visceral way, is how it's coming through. I also feel guided to address for some of you who still may be feeling lots of emotion, anger, sadness, frustration in your connection or with your connection. It feels important that you keep allowing yourself to process, because ultimately the goal is for you to resolve the emotional intensity, to resolve the anger, to resolve the hurt within you, whether they show up or not. And that is actually a big part of what creates, the word that keeps coming is like ripe. It's what creates this ripe energy for things to reopen in the aligned ways. It's okay that things from the past are still processing. It's okay if you have intense or uncomfortable, angry or sad emotions. But the key piece is that you're honoring those, you're processing them, you're processing the triggers, what it's bringing up for you, you're releasing the projection onto the masculine each time, and then refocusing back to yourself. So if those things are still present, we're still processing those energies. And I can understand that it feels frustrating, but what's really important is that you reset your intention each time to, yes, maybe the farther out goal is that you come back together in alignment. But what's really important first is that you are coming into harmonization and alignment, inner union with yourself. And a big part of that inner union is being in peace, in joy, and um, living your best life in your own way, whether they come back or not. And that's actually the frequency that allows things to open up. You see what I mean? But it's also not something you can force. It's not something you can say, oh, this is what I got to do. And then you do the work, but you still have a lot of underlying emotions that haven't been processed. It's really important that, again, this is a divinely timed process, not something you can rush, not something you can force. And so, really, what the healthy thing to do is to just be present with where you are, work with whatever is in front of you. And a big part of your job is to heal the wounds and the hurts within you and fill those energies in with your own love. Wherever you're wanting the masculine to come in, wherever you're feeling disappointed that the masculine is not present, that is the exact place and space you welcome your essence home. You welcome your love into that emotion. Wherever you feel the emotion or the pain in your body, you welcome your energy and your love home to that. Wherever you feel emotional upset, that is where you hold yourself and ask for your love, higher love, to come in and help soothe and nourish and support those emotions so that they can heal, so that the patterns and the traumas and the triggers can heal, even if divine masculine doesn't come back, even if no one else comes back. This is the energy. This doesn't mean you're going to be alone forever. It doesn't mean no one's coming. It doesn't mean the masculine isn't coming. It means in this moment, you're tending to your wounds so they don't constantly reopen and reopen and reopen. This is a beautiful gift because as you heal the wound, right, there might be a little scar tissue, but when the wound is no longer open, you're able to stay steady and strong and allow whatever needs to happen. Okay. And yes, I get that it's frustrating, but if those emotions are still there, it just is what it is. And it's just up to you to tend to those emotions and to tend to those wounds. And over time, they will heal. Okay, my loves? And that healing is what creates that inner strength and that inner union. So this feels important. And some of you might be in a combo, right? Like where you feel really strong and stable. And then every now and again, you get an intense wave of emotions. That is okay. All right. Again, this doesn't mean the masculine won't come back if you're still having emotions. It's just if they're not, and that's coming up, it's just your time to temper that energy. Okay. And I get that it's a lot, but it just is what it is. If something is still present, there's still something to learn. The same way I used to always say, like, if you're still feeling the pull of the relationship, the love, the connection, the emotion, no matter what the circumstances, this is just a signal that there's still something there for you. Okay. And sometimes it's just a process for what it is to be revealed because it's multiple things that are happening. And this is the part. So I'm seeing now, this is it, like where there can be some of these residual core wounds or the wounds in between, the wounds within yourself that maybe you've worked through a lot, but there is some more. This is not something to suppress, or it's okay to be frustrated about it, but really the progress is going to come from your capacity to say it's still there. I might want to project that on the divine masculine and say this is still there because the masculine hasn't come back. Maybe that's a piece of it, but it's a lot deeper than that because as you start to work around that, you honor, okay, I miss divine masculine, wish the masculine was here, but that's only one piece of it. Okay. It's a piece of it, but not the whole puzzle. So you still want to sort through, okay, what is within this that is within my control? What is it that I can work on? What is it I can soothe within me to help heal this pain and this hurt? Because you may find as you do that, eventually, even if the masculine is not present, you feel the connection, you feel the love, but the hurt has subsided. And this is actually a big signal of internal union. Okay. I know I've shuffled these cards like 5 times, but the messages, like once it opened, the messages are just pouring forth. Okay. All right. The Page of Pentacles. Hmm. This feels like, excuse me, my voice. I need to take a sip of my drink. This feels like the deeper embodiment of the stability, that how I said feeling like in between worlds, but also in process of continuing to unpack the gifts. Okay. And I had a card fall face down, and then the Seven of Wands came up. So let's see. Okay, we have the Six of Wands, then the Seven of Wands. This feels, even if you are feeling more frustrated emotions, even if you're not able to fully see the path, whatever it is that you're integrating, opening, and unpacking right now is actually part of your victory. It's like whatever this is opening, and as you integrate it, it goes from the six to the seven. Okay. And whatever it is actually preparing you for what's coming next. Okay. This is why we can't skip steps, because each step, each unfolding, each thing that we uncensor, each uncomfortable experience or emotion or belief that we unpack and embody in a new way is the victory, is what is leading to this space. How this feels to me is like these next levels opening are pieces of your victory puzzle. And as those integrate, it sends out the signal that you're open and receptive, still in a protective bubble, but in the process of a soft landing, ready to embody deeper into the roots. And what they're showing me is how after the Seven of Wands is the Eight of Wands, and the Eight of Wands is very fast moving information, communication, action. Okay. So if this is the masculine collective opening up, processing, and preparing to come forward with communication, this is the feminine actually unpacking the wounds, integrating, and opening the healed receptors to actually receive the incoming communication. And it's 11/11 on May 11th. And I get it. You're going to say, I've been doing this, I've done multiple layers. And perfect. If the masculine hasn't come back yet and you're still here watching these videos, my loves, there's just another layer. Okay. If you're here and you're at this level, this is because you have the capacity to work with this energy, to hold it, to go deeper. Okay. Not a punishment, it's a capacity, or it is teaching you to stretch your capacity and have patience, because whatever it is that you are in the process of embodying is what will actually be the strong foundation for the future. Okay. So if you're asking for things to be a certain way and you're still in process, this is the part where you surrender and trust whatever is in front of you is exactly the experiences, lessons, and information that is required to get you to where you're wanting to be, to go, to receive. Okay. That is where we're going to leave it. I do feel that I'm going to do a part two for my members. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Seven of Wands to the Eight of Wands. Because if I'm remembering correctly, the last video last week, I think I expanded upon the Eight of Wands, if I'm remembering correctly. This is something else I want to acknowledge. Last year, when I was doing messages, we were succinctly like going day to day. Now we are processing so much, and so much more is happening and occurring in very short time frames, that me, that has a very big good memory, it feels that video I think I did 2 days ago, it feels like it was 2 months ago. Okay. So just bear with me. That is sometimes why some of the messages are can feel different because collectively we are just moving quite quickly as far as the level of what we are processing. Okay. So, yes, I'm going to go into a part two. Where are we headed as we move more clearly and deeply and directly into this fast moving communication between masculine and feminine? What I sense is that it's going to be a bit before it fully lands, but this is why we're having this conversation, because this is where we can prep, be ready, stable, and embodied to receive divine masculine in their full energy, right? So we have to strengthen in our full inner union to be able to hold and match with divine masculine and their full energy and inner union, correct? Or at least be working in that direction. Progress over perfection. Okay, loves? All right. I will see you for part two. I will put that Patreon and YouTube in the pinned comments. Also, you will see the link to the Uncensored series for any of you who want to dive into that supportive series where we're really going into uncensoring ourselves physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, any of those blind spots or unknown spots, so that you can actually be sending out more and more of that true soul song signal. Okay, loves. Gonna leave it there. See you soon. See you in part two for those of you that are gonna join me there. And I hope you have a beautiful and lovely, peaceful day. Much love. Peace.